Hello and welcome to the Aftershow where we recap everything Subversion Live Season 1. I'm CLC and I'm joined this time by three amazing guests to break down the fifth episode to get their opinions on who could be the mole. Before I bring them on, if you've not gone to our YouTube page at Subversion Mole and watched the fifth episode, I recommend doing that first before you engage in the discussion. Additionally, on our YouTube page, there's a link to join the Discord to get involved in more weekly discussions with our cast and other Subversion viewers. As well, on our YouTube page is a link to the application for Season 2, which will be late October of this year. Apps will close April 15th, so if you're thinking about it, check it out and don't miss out on the deadline. Alrighty, I have three amazing guests, three people I absolutely love and adore, three live game mole players, truly a plethora of good insight and knowledge here. I'll bring on our only alum of the series. She's played Season 3 and All-Stars, and should have won Michigan Mole Season 3, dare I say. It's Gabby Franklin.
What's up? I'm so excited to be here.
I know. How is the new city, the new life? Because last time I saw you, you were in a completely different state.
Yeah, we like it. We actually might be moving back. But that's a story for another time.
Not that.
Good but we like it. We've loved it this last year, so.
Love that. Alrighty, moving on to somewhat. So Gabby was hosted by our executed player this season, or this episode, which is Carrie. Spoiler alert. Now we're going to bring on someone who's actually played with Carrie, played Michigan Mole Season 2 with her. It is the lovely Steph Fagan.
Hi.
How
Just
are
getting
you?
attacked by a cat right before this. He's back.
How is Texas? Because I haven't seen, because last time I saw you was when I lived in Texas, and now no longer do.
Last time you saw me was about this time last year for my birthday.
It was.
So I've had a whole other birthday. It's been a long time.
Time is flown.
Bipolar weather right now. It's about really it.
Lord, I don't miss that.
Decide if it wants to be 80 or 50. I don't know.
Yep, same here.
And our last guest, I've not had the pleasure of meeting this person, but they are hosting a bunch of different mole live games, have been one of the best live game moles that has existed, period. And I will die on that hill. It's Missie Bird.
This is why you're my favorite. Don't tell Foser.
When Foser breaks the fourth wall.
Well, yeah.
Right. Oh, he's yelling at us.
That's funny.
Oh my goodness. So now we've had someone who's hosted by Carrie, someone who's played with Carrie, and now Missie has hosted Carrie. So truly a huge Carrie love circle here to celebrate, dare I say, the main character of the first half of the season. So
I mean, that's pretty solid.
There was a good run-in for main character for a while.
Yeah.
Truly, like, so sorry to everyone else. She kind of has been eating up the TV time. So
Ate everyone up too.
yeah, also that she so good, and I can't wait to break it all down with y'all. So let's get started. This is just the period to talk about any general thoughts you had coming into the episode, anything you wanted to get off of your chest that you think hasn't been talked about, or you really just kind of want to highlight before we get into any episode specifics. This is y'all's time.
I think the casting this season was so perfect. I think the personalities with each other, it's just been very entertaining to watch. Obviously last episode when Brent left, that was a very disappointing, elimination because he was also TV. I was too. But yeah, just the casting, I think this season has been really fun and really well done. So
it's just really good names to see of people that you don't typically see all the time in live games either. So I hadn't seen Karthik really play before. Seeing Liv out there was kind of cool. I played an online game with her. Seeing her out there was neat. Seeing Davey out there, I played a game with him one time too. So that was, he's very tall.
I think it's funny because watching this cast, I love them for the same reasons.
Yeah.
Had I been playing with them, I would have they would be crying. I couldn't. I mean, like, I would have gotten to that point.
I would be crying since like we stepped in that house with all those big personalities. I would be crying 24/7, like puffy eyes, like no makeup, dead. Like
I would have had them crying because sometimes you just want to like shake somebody, like,
yeah,
what do you mean? Like, I mean, obviously we're gonna go back to Brent. Let's see, it's what, the fourth quiz or whatever it was, and I'm still splitting on 6 or 7 people or whatever. I'm like, really?
Yeah,
let's see how that works out.
Yeah, that was a choice. That was definitely a choice.
That's definitely a choice.
That's a choice on any quiz, though. I feel like even like in the beginning, like you're more trying to spread, not split, and then like going into like this, like it's not that far in, but going at that time and saying 6 or 7, like David needs to be like 3 or 4 at the most.
Yeah. Right, you need to play the law of averages. You know what I mean? You need, and I think, if people don't play mole games, and we know this, if they've played like Big Brother games or Survivor games, they have it set in their head how they want to play. Mm-hmm. And it does take you a couple of rounds to realize that, but you need to watch the mole games, at least watch different live mole games before you play one, because you need to start from go. By the time, you're out by the time you realize how to play. If you don't do something. Yeah,
definitely.
Oh, for sure. Like from your lips to all of their ears, I think a lot of them the third round kind of it clicked for a lot of them, being like, oh, I see how I should be playing this. And by this point, perceptions have been formed, ideas have been made around, who they want to work with, who they think could be the mole, who's not the mole. So by the time you get, 3-4 rounds in and they're figuring it out for themselves, it's like, well, babes, it's too late. Like,
you're done.
The foundation is set.
Right.
So it's been really I mean, I think for them it's a pretty green cast. Some of them had played the mole online. None of them, to my knowledge, have played a mole live game before. I might be misspeaking, but I don't
besides Carrie.
Besides Carrie, of course, Queen.
But you could tell. You could tell.
Oh yeah, you very green cast.
No, like, I can literally tell Carrie has, because I personally played with her and seen how nervous she was and like how she didn't know how to anticipate anything or score quizzes or figure anything out. And at that same time, a lot of us hadn't played either. So we were kumbaya, like, let's share all this information, which is stupid. And so like just seeing this whole like 180 of her and like playing like I know she wants to play and like being how she wants to be and being more open with it because she got that one out of the way. Like, this is why I'm so excited for her and I'm so bummed for her now.
Yeah. I was really excited to see her play too, because when we were doing my season of Michigan Mole, she was just talking to me about it so much because it was during, I think, Subversion 4 technically was like airing while we were doing Michigan Mole. And obviously Preston was playing and he's like one of my closest friends. So Carrie and I were talking about it the whole time, and just seeing how like into watching Subversion 4 she was. I was like, oh, she's going to come and she's going to devour everybody because she was so invested in season 4. So same. I'm very sad that she got out as early as she did, but
she did her homework. Like she was talk to me like about moling. You know what I mean? And like, so at that point, I'm like, is this bitch the mole, or is she just really trying to like, you know what I mean? Like the whole time, I'm like, wait a minute. But she really did. She was doing her work. Like she was putting in some work, and she was. I mean, we know. Look.
Well, going back to what Gabby was saying about her watching Subversion, she would like message me about like the quizzes and like, who do you think the mole is? And did you watch this? And I'm like, girl, I guess on every quiz on the game within a game. I'm not trying to win it, but she was in it and she was watching, and I know she was studying.
Yeah.
She came in probably the most prepared. I would say her and Simona probably put in the most like upfront work in terms of like Simona and Carrie watched as many seasons as they could. We're asking for recommendations. We're reaching out to people in just the community, trying to get their thoughts, truly put in a lot of work, and truly a shame that we lose both of them as early as we do. But again, it's like for Simona, it was
early. Them boys got lucky.
And then Carrie obviously goes all in, or to the best of her ability, on her top suspect, and obviously is wrong. And it's just not enough at the end of the day. Like,
But the confidence. Can we talk about the confidence?
I want to know who she was so confident
I know. But I'm just like, nope, I got it
because this is great.
Yeah, can't disclose that just yet, but it'll. I mean, we're 5 short episodes away from the tell-all and all the fun stuff. But let's. We had a couple of non-questions. I know who they're all from, but before we get into the episode, Steph, you kind of already alluded to this, but this cast is definitely a little bit more green to the format and definitely a little bit more forthcoming with suspects, all of their other. Any other like factual information in this game, like thoughts on sharing suspect lists, thoughts on sharing what you may or may not have put on the quiz. This has been kind of a very prevalent topic in the Discord server. Thoughts on sharing information?
Well, my season of the Michigan Mole, we did a lot of that. I wouldn't say all of us, but I'd say like there was a big chunk of us that shared everything. So I mean, maybe I'm not the best person to answer this question because obviously it worked for me when I played. So,
but y'all got y'all like handed that game to him by doing that. I think by oversharing, he was able to control all of that information.
Yeah.
And I was watching. It was like watching like a slow motion kind of train wreck in a way because I'm like, why are you guys handing him everything? Like sharing is good.
Yeah.
To an extent, and don't tell the truth all the time. For God's sake.
Don't. Yeah, especially towards the end, it was like he just knew he had everything.
Yeah. He had every dossier piece, like he had them all taped together. I'm like, why are you people giving him this stuff? Like,
yeah, I think it was honestly like for that specific, like it was just a test of his personality. Like everyone just loved him, and like he was just such an easy person, and he was like, I don't know. He had never seen reality TV in his life. So everybody was like, oh, you know what I mean? Like he wasn't like a threat until he was a threat.
So for me, So for me, like I'm like an open and honest person. Like in general, like if I like you, like if I'm playing with Missie or Gabby, I'd be like trying to share information all the time because I like them. But if I play again ever, like I have to go into that mindset saying you can't do this. You are not going to win by sharing information with everybody. So like I would definitely, like if I played again, like try not to share as much information as I did. Try to put sus on other people that I don't think are the moles so that other people will get out maybe. It's hard because I'm just such a trusting person. And when I get out there and I meet these people that I've seen online forever, I'm like, oh, yay, we get to play together. And then it's like, yay, I get to screw myself over.
Right.
Yeah, there's only one winner at the end of this. And like you can share information with everyone, but someone is benefiting the most. And unless it's you, be careful what you do. Like obviously Michigan Mole benefited. I think his name was Mason.
Yes.
He ends up taking it all. Like, sure, everyone was sharing information, was benefiting everyone to get a step further, but he benefited the most. He goes on to win the whole thing. So it'll happen to someone here in the same regards of like, people are sharing information. Is it all truthful? Is it not? Who knows? But because they are so open and honest with a good chunk of it, someone's benefiting the most. And unless it's you, you gotta reel it back.
And if that person is good, like he ended up being, then that you're screwed because he's selectively sharing them. He's not sharing everything. Like with Steph, I would tell Steph everything, because Steph is smart and I know the way her head works, and she's like the organized one and I'm like the crazy one. But
there is one person right now that I think is kind of that person. Like I think Karthik is really out there. Like everybody loves him. People are telling him information, whether he's the mole or he's going to win it. I think like right now he's like in the best position because like
definitely
they said it in the last episode. He's funny. Everybody gets along with him.
Yeah, and that's that personality.
It's also like the perfect game for someone like that because I mean I played Big Brother with Karthik. He's one of my very close friends too. But like the mole is such a better game for people with those polarizing personalities because you benefit from being that person. Where in like Big Brother and Survivor, you get taken out because people know you're like this big social threat. Whereas like in a mole game, people don't like yeah, he's a social threat. But like at that point, it's too late. You know?
Yeah, and you can't take them out in the mall.
Yeah.
They have to take themselves
They don't
out.
think
by
you're
then.
serious. That was part of my whole strategy was just be fun, be yourself, be funny, be silly. Like then they're like, she's not paying attention though. Like she's not the mole because the mole wouldn't be like that loud or the mole wouldn't start a fight with somebody or whatever. You know what I mean? And I'm like,
there's so many theories and so many ways this could go.
Karthik is that person.
Lauren being pissed off and not wanting to get any money could be the mole too.
Don't even. I got Lauren notes.
Let's hop on into the first challenge because that's the beauty of the format. The mole, like every reason you think the mole is acting a particular way, there is an exact reason why the mole is not doing exactly what you just said. It is such a would they not, and if they knew that they would they not. It is such a constant ping pong back and forth in your mind as to like what are they truly doing, and that's what makes it so fun. So let's hop into the first challenge. Just talk about the would they not of it all and how everyone acted. So this is Mail Trail. So what's happening is they're all starting outside. There are 64 envelopes upstairs, all written with a color from the 64 pack of Crayola. And the goal is one by one as they enter the house, is kind of explain where each envelope is so that they can kind of map it out, like what upstairs looks like, where all the envelopes are. Because at the end of the challenge, the final player will go upstairs and all the envelopes are turned over. So there's nothing written on them. And they will select 5 envelopes, hoping to select the 5 that are worth money. There are a couple that are worth advantages, but ultimately only the final player can earn those advantages or earn the money for the group by selecting 5 envelopes. Each of the first 10 players will get to go upstairs and will have 2 minutes to walkie-talkie whatever they see, can kind of explain what they're seeing to hopefully add to the mapping. There are things they could be looking for upstairs, though. There are 2 exemptions hidden upstairs. The green one, which is they can hold on to it and use it up through the final 6. There's also a clear one upstairs, which has to be used in the round that you find it. So maybe some incentive to look elsewhere. But also there are dominoes hidden throughout upstairs. So while the first 10 players all get 2 minutes guaranteed, the final player is guaranteed nothing. And that's the player who gets to select the 5 envelopes that the team will take home. So each domino that's found adds time to that final player. So each red domino adds 20 seconds. Each black domino adds 10 seconds. So lots going on, lots to do upstairs, and the ordering is crucial. Let's get to the ordering lineup selection of it all, because there is a lot of contention as to who should go where, because no one has any trust. Like if you put someone up earlier in the lineup, are they just going to search for the exemption the entire time? Because technically, Gavin, who ends up going first, he's the first person to look. No one's gone before him. He can spend the entire time looking for the exemption because no one else had a chance to find it before him. So people who go in the earlier part of the lineup might have an advantage to that. So like, I want to hear your thoughts on anything that happened during this lineup selection phase, kind of where you think the mole might have ended up. Obviously, Carrie did have to sit out of this challenge. She needed to rest. Just physical health comes first. She's not feeling well. And it's no skin off our bones if you don't want to go and like look around for 2 minutes. Like, please rest instead. Like, it's not a big deal. So, thoughts on anything that happened in the lineup process?
We're all waiting.
I didn't know who wanted to start.
I mean, obviously, Gavin, like that was very forceful. That was very like take control. He figured it out in his head really quick. To me, I was like, oh, he's figured out this, and this. And it took the others a couple of minutes, I think, to catch on to like how it was going to work. And then by that time, there was no way Gavin wasn't going up there first. And by the time they realized, oh shit, that means he's going to be able to look for, the exemptions or whatever. But it also put a little bit of pressure on you at first if you weren't continuously talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
Because later on, they were up there, like, Jackie or whoever, when they were up there, they didn't necessarily have to talk back so much, because they understood what, look for more dominoes. So when you're looking for dominoes, you don't have to say the colors on the envelopes or whatever.
Right.
But so I think that was maybe something they didn't anticipate at first, that, oh God, I'm going to have to talk to them the whole time I'm up here, even while you're looking. So you can tell, like, even Matt, like sometimes like the whole, oh shit, I better say something to them, you know, like if I'm not talking for 13 seconds.
Right. Yeah.
Well, when they were making the order too, who was it? It was like Liz, and who were the people that were like actively putting them in order? Because there's always these like leaders, like these people that take like these leader roles, and there was kind of like Liz, and there was just contention to like speak up, like where do you want to be, and then Matthew saying something like to Craig and saying like you need to be further down.
Yeah.
It was just, I would not know how to do that. If I were the mole, I'm trying to think, like, yeah, I kind of want to try to go in the beginning because you want to pretend you're a player. So you'd want to go towards the beginning to see if you could get any advantages to keep other players from getting advantages so they don't stay in the game. But then at the same time, maybe at this point in the game, there's so much speculation on a few people if they're the mole that it could even be like, I don't even really have to forcefully put myself in here because they're all fighting and it's not me. So they might be a little like, take a back seat, put themselves somewhere in the middle where it's like, okay, I won't go for an exemption. Like y'all can go for it this time or something.
Yeah.
But I found it really interesting. I don't know why when Matthew said something to Craig, when he was like, no, you need to be further down.
Well, and then he went second, right? Like that was the whole thing too.
Yeah.
Matt got which I was kind of proud of him at that point because I've kind of been watching him a little like, you know, when he cried a little bit, you know, his roommate's gone. He's like, I cried. That was sad. I get that, you know, and I felt bad. But then I laughed because, you know, how many times I was the mole and I cried. So, like, I'm not going to say you're not moley, but I was like, whoa, like, he, like, got what he wanted, which was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
That he did. I was impressed that he ended up getting, because I thought for sure, like, him and Jackie and Lauren, they'd be, like, at, you know, put somewhere that really didn't necessarily, was not super important.
Yeah, and Anthony, he was last, right?
Yes.
Which I thought was very, like, the part where he's, like, talking to the camera, I was just laughing because I was like, it was just funny to me. But when he made a comment saying that, like, everyone had kind of started to ice him out, which, like, in my head, I understand if people think he's the mole and start to ice him out, but it doesn't sound like that many people think he's the mole. So it's just, it's just interesting. Right.
He kept
yeah.
a lot of advantages, and they didn't want him to have those advantages, and they want to stick him further down the line. So they're like, "But why ice him out if you don't?"
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like we just talked about with like Karthik. Like it's not a game where that really benefits you, because he could already know who the mole is, and he doesn't have to talk to everybody else. Like he just has to be fast and keep making it through, and you know. And in my opinion, that's someone you want on your side. That's not someone you want like against you. So
if you're knowledgeable on who might be the mole and stuff like that, and you don't think they're the mole, like no, don't ice them out.
Right. So that's why it was really interesting to me that when he said that, and I was just laughing at him sitting there like talking up at the camera. I was like, oh my god. He's like, are you kidding me right now?
It was a good shot, Poster. Good shot.
Yeah.
The poster didn't film that. I think Blake did.
Blake, good shot. Blake, good shot. Take it back from
No, it really was cool. That was a nice little sat there by himself, like.
Yeah.
Speaking of shots, really quick. Okay, there was a shot when they were upstairs looking, and there was a shot onto like the railing. It looked like it was looking at the railing or the floor. Was there like a domino on the railing or something? Right?
There was a domino there. It was black though, so black on black.
I thought so, but I didn't catch it either time, and I was like, "That's probably what it was."
Yeah, that's what that was. So,
and the one on the hood over the oven, over the stovetop, right? That's where there was one on the. I was like, that would have been one of the first places I looked.
There were tons that they didn't find. I mean, what was it? I think we hid 18 red dominoes.
It was a lot.
There were 18 red. They only found 9, and then there were 9 black, and they only found 1. So there were a lot of dominoes. Random production. It wasn't me. I literally was like, "Hey, Blake, Kelly, Rick, go hide these."
Well, they're good because if they couldn't find that, like, were they hiding them in like the chips or something?
No, they were in very clear sight of each other. Like they were like on top of things, like on top of the railing. Like they didn't like bury them in things. They were very clearly visible when you walk through. If you're paying attention, you could have seen them all. You didn't have to dig for them. So
none
just
of them were actually looking for dogs.
Right. So that's just what they were looking for.
Yeah, exactly.
It was the clear green. They didn't want it.
Exactly. If it wasn't exempt, we don't want it. So, but yeah, let's get into specific people because the lineup is done. Anthony's going last because he did do a version of this challenge in the online game, so he kind of urged for himself to be last because of his experience. Gavin, who kind of clicked with him early on, he pretty much gets to go first because that was kind of the initial agreement. And then as people started to figure it out, it was a little too late to change that one. Obviously, Matt fought to go higher up in the order. He initially was fourth, got moved up to second because he bumped down Jack and Karthik. Just didn't want them as early as they wanted. And then you had a little bit of a spat between Jackie and Liv. Liv was near the back of the pack, and she wanted to go a little bit earlier. And Jackie's like, no, you already urged for other things about the order. You got those. You don't get anything else. So the order selected. Jackie alludes at the end of the challenge that maybe moving forward, if we have to do things like this, maybe we should just agree to something like objective, like birthday order, alphabetical, because this whole agreeing as a team thing is not going to keep working moving forward. Like everyone's going to have an opinion.
Yeah.
So we'll get there, but let's go in order. So Gavin's the first one to enter. His turn is pretty much wasted because he is just rapidly listing out any color he sees without an actual like order or orientation to them. Like, great, thanks. Thank you for telling me that there's a blue envelope upstairs. But like, if you don't tell me,
there's cornflower, but
yeah, like, it's not very helpful. So unsure if that was the strategy for the first round, just to like get all the colors on the board. Unsure, but definitely because I'm outside with them during all their 2-minute runs. Okay, so I have no clue like what the agreement was. So I was just like on rewatch, I'm like, interesting. That
yeah, because it's like, was there even an agreement? Because like, or did he just go up there and just start spewing off stuff while he looked for other things? Because to me, it looked like he was just spewing and looking for other stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
I have no mapping in big letters. Like he didn't say I'm walked up into my, I'm starting here. He was just he's. And at first I thought I didn't understand what they were supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, what is he?
Yeah, I thought that honestly, I was confused too. I had to rewind.
Yeah, because he's the first one to go. He sets the tone.
Yeah.
And the tone was bad.
Yeah.
Was bad.
He's just yelling colors.
Truly.
Didn't understand.
He did bring back four. Right. He brought back 4 red dominoes, so he did add a minute and 20 to the time that Anthony will get. So was helpful there, not helpful in the actual money making portion, but that's okay.
At least he did something.
Right. Yeah, he did something. He brought back some time. Move on to Matt, who has quite literally maybe the polar opposite idea of Gavin.
Yeah.
He is very slow and methodical, emphasis on slow. Starting at the kitchen island, very clearly being like, here's the first column, up to down, here's the second column. So a bit better about the mapping, but very, very slow.
Yeah, he was stressing me out.
Which again, Anthony has to like write it down and kind of like organize.
Yeah.
He's doing all the things. So like maybe it was a good pacing, maybe it was too slow, but definitely.
That's what I'm trying to think. Like, is he just trying to be clear on the walkie-talkie? Like, because it's not like you're just saying it to somebody in another room. You're having to talk on a walkie-talkie and pronunciate. Because I could just go through and just be like, who went first? Anthony? No, Gavin. Gavin went first, and I would have been like, I could be like blah blah blah, and you wouldn't understand a word that came out of my mouth.
Well, maybe he was doing that because he heard how, but.
Oh, maybe.
I mean, he also sat there and talked through the whole time that Gavin was trying to give whatever little information he was giving.
Oh, that's a fair point.
To sat there and talk the whole time. Like, how is Anthony even supposed to hear that? That was one thing that I noticed. Like, Matt really did not pay attention. Like, if you're going second, I would want to hear what the first person was saying so I could expound on that. He sat there and talked literally the whole time and did not listen to anything. And it was kind of pissing me off. I wasn't even playing. I'm like, hush, we're trying to get these directions.
Yeah.
A lot of them were not paying attention. Like Anthony had to be able to corral them to be like, hey, here's what the last person did. Can you focus in this area? Like they basically said, oh, Anthony, you're going to do everything great. I'm going to just not pay attention. And
didn't he even speak up like while they were standing there talking like, hey, can y'all be quiet?
Yeah.
like I gotta listen.
They put all the effort on Anthony and everyone else, like talking over the walkie, not paying attention, and they have very little time. Like once one person's turn is done, I go outside, I'm like, okay, next person, you're going. So Anthony's got like 5 seconds to be like, hey, do this area. Like I need you to do this. Instead of having to waste time on the walkie, which in some instances he had to go on the walkie, like, hey, I need you to do these areas. And instead of them using the free time outside to pre-plan someone's turn, they had to use part of the time in the moment to kind of reorganize. So a lot of people just were not paying attention.
Yeah.
We'll move on to Jack. Oh, unless you had another thought.
I was just going to say, because you could totally use that time, like listening to where they're at in the living room to say, okay, they're at the burnt orange couch, because I heard that so many times. Like, let me go from there on. But that could be mold behavior too.
Exactly. What's in it? What is just, bad team management? What is just not being a team player? And what is intentional? That's what is really hard about this game, because a lot of people want to look like them all. And some people are just not good at challenges or not good at thinking ahead. So it's just hard to kind of gauge what's what. Jack heads in. He's kind of like the middle ground between Gavin and Matt. He's a little bit more organized. He's definitely too quick, because Anthony definitely has to tell the next person, Karthik, hey, please speak slower than what Jack was doing. So time wasted there, because they have to go back and redo some of Jack's area that he had covered. Anthony had to send other people after that to kind of remap that out, because Jack was going a little too quick. But ultimately, he brought back 2 red dominoes, so Gavin brought back 4 red. Matt didn't bring back anything. Jack brought back 2 red dominoes, so now they're up to 2 minutes total. But not a terrible run from Jack. Not a great run. A little bit more useful than Gavin's, but
I feel like it's very on brand for Jack.
But Jack said, so I guess, and maybe I missed it and I should have rewound it, and maybe I just, but he said that there were envelopes turned over when he went up there, correct? Did we see? Because only Gavin and Matt went before him. So
I watched it twice and I could not see if anybody actually flipped it, but I don't think Prod would really show us either. But also at the same time, I'm sus of Jack.
Yes,
I'm very sus of Jack already. So was he going slow on purpose? And then did he flip them and say they were flipped?
Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, very, very contentious issue. Because you see, I think Karthik's confessional, who mentions it being like, oh, it must have been Gavin or Matt, but they're probably just, being a decoy, trying to be suspicious when they're not the mole. Versus some people are like, no, that was very suspicious. And some people are like, is Jack even telling the truth? Maybe Jack did it and is just making an excuse for why his turn wasn't as beneficial as it could have been. So lots of questions around Jack's run. Next, we move to Karthik, who does not let go of that button on the walkie-talkie. He is holding it for all 2 minutes. So you can see Anthony trying to communicate back to Karthik to, hey, can you go back and do the couch again? But Karthik can't hear it because he doesn't let go of the damn button.
That's him, because he did give good directions. So
very good directions.
Dude, let go of that for us.
Well, that is so funny. When he was over there by the modem and he was like, the whatever modem, blah, blah. I'm like, you are getting really descriptive.
A lot of maybe a little too descriptive. Like, hey, TV stand left to right is maybe all you needed instead of a little too descriptive. But yeah, did not let go of that damn button. The funniest thing to me is, so he times out with dominoes in his hand. I think he had 2 in his hand. So he times out so those dominoes don't get added to the group because you had to get out within the 2 minutes. But my favorite thing in his run is when he's on the walkie-talkie being like, team, where are the dominoes? Why would they know? Like, they haven't gone inside yet. Like, how would they know where the dominoes are? That just really tickles me. I was like, what in the world?
That is hilarious.
And they couldn't freaking answer anyhow because
my brain didn't even register that till just now. Like, I'm thinking, well, where were the other players? Well, they're off somewhere else. They're not over there.
Yeah, they hadn't gone inside. How are they supposed to know?
Like, did he realize that he had his finger on the button the whole time?
Don't know. Honestly, don't know.
That's so
really
caught in the moment, right?
Yeah.
But that's what you get also for not paying attention when other people are radioing down and you're hearing Anthony talk back and forth to them. Karthik out there, maybe you should have listened a little bit more to what was going on instead of him and Liv going back and forth, or whoever else he was going back and forth with.
Or he's the mole and he's doing it on purpose.
Never know.
We get sucks for me too.
Next is Craig. So Craig will ultimately add another red domino, so another 20 seconds added there. Openly admitted to wanting to search for the exemption, but maybe didn't do it as much as he had wanted. He kind of thought being 5th in the order might allow him some more time, but he actually does spend most of his time giving instructions, but those instructions are heavily scrutinized in further people, like the area Craig does. Anthony has Lauren and Gavin and Jackie kind of go over that area again. Is it Anthony just trying to reconfirm? Does Anthony maybe not trust what Craig is saying? Who is to know? But every area Craig did was basically redone by someone future in the lineup. Or maybe Anthony's just doing a really bad job at note-taking. Truly a lot of reasons as to why Anthony is asking people to redo both couches, redo the chairs, but everything Craig did was not taken at face value. But a solid run from Craig otherwise.
But the way Craig was like on the couch and then he'd run over and look somewhere really quick for something, like he would stretch out kind of what he was saying. And to me, like if I'm Anthony, that's very sus anyway. So it might be another reason why he like had them go back over it, because he was actively searching, but actively trying to help. But it was very well known he was actively searching.
Right.
That's where that comfortable silence, when you hear somebody not talking, you know they're looking, and that he was trying to avoid that, but he wasn't doing it very well.
Yeah.
No, not at all. Davey is next. Davey is in charge of reconfirming Matt's portion, but he does a poor job of Matt did a great job of being like, this is column 1. Here's the next column. Davey's just reading them off. But he's going top, bottom, this column, moving over, but he's not communicating when the column ends to the next column. So that, and maybe they were trusting what Matt said on the column portion, and Davey was just confirming what the envelopes were in order, but found that very interesting. Again, great, you're reading off the colors and where they are, but when they're turned over and you need one of the ones that are on that kitchen island, you need to know specifically what column, which number down the column is the right envelope, because that can change from getting a $30 envelope to something with nothing. But not very descriptive on his part. He does bring back 2 dominoes, 1 red, 1 black. He's the only person to find a black domino. So 30 seconds added on behalf of Davey. Next is Liv, who doesn't do anything regarding the colors. She is completely silent as it relates to anything regarding the envelope. She's only looking for dominoes, quote unquote. And within 2 minutes, only brings back 1 red domino. Her entire task was only to focus on bringing back time, and is only successful in bringing back 20 seconds. So not a super successful run from Liv, who doesn't really help out with the envelopes and only brings back 20 seconds. Had 2 minutes
and didn't get a lot of scrutiny. I'm sorry. It kind of bugged me. That's why I said something like that. I feel like she was not getting as much scrutiny for that as maybe some others did, like Craig's did, and maybe Matt's and everything. And maybe that's part of going in the middle. Yeah. You know, like you feel like you might have a little less because somebody already did some sketchy shit before you. So you can do a little bit,
Well, and I think it was a lot too, because didn't Anthony and them tell her like just go for time? So they like if they're gonna tell her that, they can't really scrutinize her for doing that. Now, if she's actually going for time or not, but with the way these dominoes have not been found, it gave her ample open door to look for an advantage, because like what's the expectation? Nobody else is bringing dominoes back. Why does she have to?
Right.
So were they allowed? I guess I didn't catch this. Were they allowed to say how many? Like, were they allowed to radio back doing found a domino? Found a domino.
Yeah, if they wanted.
That was the other thing. Like, because how many times did they like open that cupboard underneath and search through that? I'm like, why didn't somebody? I mean, I guess you can't trust people, but also, to me, I'd be like, hey, I found my domino. It was in the drawer by the whatever. So maybe I'd make that the last place if I had any time left to check to look. Exactly. But instead, everybody went to those pretty the places where you would think that they would be.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I also think that like after her and Jackie had their little tiff during the like order thing, maybe Liv was like, fuck you guys, I'm not gonna do anything. I mean, that's what we're hearing.
She did not pay any attention to anything, so I mean, maybe that was it.
Yeah, a lot of talking from Liv to other players during everyone else's turn. She's definitely one of the biggest.
During Karthik, Liv during. I got these notes going. Talking during not paying attention.
Yeah, definitely.
And then for Davies, but then for Davies' run, like you said, I wasn't sure like if him and Anthony had a conversation, just saying like, hey, just go up and down. I want to verify what Matthew said before. Maybe that's why he went through it so fast. I don't know. Davies not high on my sus list right now, so I could just see it being like boom, 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 boom. Let me hit these and try to go get some time.
Who's to know? Because I wasn't listening to any of their strategy talk either. So I am in between both.
A whole lot of it.
Yeah. Also that. Next is Jackie, who really her only job is to focus on the white couch, despite not reciting all the colors on the white couch the first time. She only recites 3 of the colors the first time, and then on a second recite says all 4 of them, which, if that's the only thing she was in charge of, a good waste of time on her end to waste that time to have to recite them again. And then she spends the rest of the time looking for potentially dominoes, but she brings nothing back. So not a super useful run from Miss Jackie. Next is Lauren,
it goes back to the same thing though. Like if nobody's bringing it back, they waste your time looking for something else. Like
exactly, yeah.
If I'm looking for green and clear or whatever it is for the exemptions, my brain's not looking for red and black, so I'm going to skip over it. So I don't blame them.
You and by that time you already heard if you were not talking the whole time. The shit job that everybody else was already doing. So you're like, we're not going to get that much money. I'm pretty sure of it. Screw that. I'm going to save my own ass right now. Yeah. If you're towards the end, that's where my head would be as a player. All right, well, they've got all the information they need right now. I'm trying to save my own.
And that's what Lauren does the entire 2 minutes. She could not
I don't care about the money.
Not be bothered for a second. She is very obviously looking for an advantage. She even radios back to Anthony being like, you can tell Gavin I didn't find it. So you can tell Gavin he can look for the exemption if he wants it. She is not hiding it one bit, that she is very clearly looking for an exemption. She does get annoyed mid-run when Anthony has his walkie on telling Gavin, I need you to like focus on the burnt orange couch. So she very annoyed walks over being like, here's what it is. Like you could just ask, instead of like being shady and asking Gavin on the walkie-talkie to do it on his turn, like, literally in the house. But okay, so I think she was a little annoyed that Anthony maybe didn't trust Lauren to do it. But otherwise, she is, and she's the only person with this distinction. She is the only person to bring back no dominoes within the 2 minutes. So everyone who, like, there were people like Jackie who timed out, but they didn't find any dominoes. So like, there's no reason to try and rush out if you have no dominoes, because if you have them in hand and you get timed out, then they're lost. But if you don't have anything, there's no risk to being timed out. Lauren had nothing in hand, but did decide to leave within the 2 minutes.
But if they have the exemption, do they have to get out within the 2 minutes as well?
Just the dominoes were the only thing that mattered there. It's the only only thing to get out in time with is via Domino's. She didn't have any, so it was just strange that she still
She
wanted
really
to
said,
get out.
"Screw y'all."
Yeah, right.
She said early on, she was like I said, I probably would have been. She was like, no, when they start acting like this, I check out. Screw it. You guys can. And I've been there, you know what I mean? Even when I was a mole and I was still trying to earn money, you know what I mean? I was trying to be helpful, and people aren't. She just checked out, but she's really more focused on Carrie's little cryptid, her little. There's only
Don't get me started on that.
I'm dying when she's like, and there's only so many people to have 6-letter whatever, and I'm like, girl, you didn't even care about colors or anything, and her head is still running through all that stuff. I think. So,
but I was ready. I was with Lauren when she just started flipping those pillows open and opening drawers and just leaving shit open. Like, yes, this is what I want to see.
My note, Steph says, she's leaving those cabinets open like my damn kids.
But it's really like, I don't care. Nope. But also, if you think about it, if they were looking for Domino's in a way to say, I've already looked here, leaving a drawer open would be a way. Yeah. Leaving a cabinet open is a way. Mm-hmm. But it just made me laugh so hard because it just brings back those Big Brother memories of the veto, hide and go veto, and they're just tearing the house apart. And I really wanted her to open a bag of chips and be like, phew!
Stuff those pillows.
I think I gave CLC heartburn.
Oh, that challenge. Like, I'm not, like, Foster and I, like, our house isn't dirty by any means, but we're not like clean freaks. But like seeing Lauren rummage that house, I was like, oh my God, like I
would have lost
disaster. Like, oh my goodness gracious. Finishing up the last 2 people to go, Gavin, who is in place of Carrie. He was the one who was elected to go twice. Really just spends his time reconfirming some last couple envelopes while also trying to look for Domino's, but he finds nothing. At pretty much it seemed like he had kind of not really cared about the exemption, kind of being so late in the game on top of hearing Lauren actively look, Liv actively look, Jackie didn't do much in terms of on the walkie-talkie. There were a lot of players who didn't try and pretend that they weren't looking for the exemption. So I think Gavin kind of just assumed it had already been found when neither were found. The clear exemption will never be found this season, but the green exemption may be found in a later episode. So tune in to when that one will actually be found, because it stays. We hit it somewhere and it remained there until it was found. Never moved.
That's funny.
Wow.
We left it there the entire time and it was found.
Definitely not in the cryptid.
Yeah, not in the cryptid.
Yeah. Sorry, I just want to say the minute I saw that thing on the screen, I was like. I've held that in my hand. I knew Carrie had that.
Did you bring it to me?
Possibly.
Oh Lord Almighty!
I don't think we used it, but I think she had it. But I've held it in my hand.
That's so funny. Alrighty, the last person to go is Anthony. He is the person who gets to decide how much money this challenge was worth. He gets told right before he goes in what the 7 envelopes that matter are worth. He gets told that the tan envelope and the lavender envelope, if he selects them, would give him a +1 each. But I think you hear it. Gavin is like, dude, if you go for an exemption, this group will, or if you go for a +1, this group will kill you. Like you're getting iced out because you're going for all these advantages. If you go for another one, like you're toast in this game. No one will ever work with you. So I think Anthony was like, I'm not going to do that. So he was kind of more focused on the money. So he gets told that the $10 envelope is burnt sienna. That one is not found. Anthony clocks in orange instead. So no, those $10 are not earned. He gets told cadet blue is worth 15. He finds that one successfully. Olive green was worth 20. He finds that one successfully. Yellow green was worth 25. He finds that one successfully. So they're up to 60. And then the final one was violet red worth 30. But Anthony locks in red violet, claiming that I think those are the same thing, right? Those are the same thing. So $40 lost from some combination of Anthony not finding them on the map or selecting the wrong one or thinking violet red was the same thing as red violet, etc. Any final thoughts on anything that happened in this challenge? Because there are a lot of moving.
Where was the orange in relation to like the burnt sienna? Are they close?
Great question. I don't even know.
I can't remember from it, but like Red Violet, I kind of get because he might have just like wrote Red Violet really quick, and who knows how it was written. But it also does look sus. So of course you're gonna have the people out there going, of course, like the mole would put it on Red Violet instead of Violet Red, and maybe that's where the +1 was since it was wrong. So I feel like he might have gotten. I don't know if he did, but he might have gotten scrutinized for getting especially that one wrong, because if it just could lead to so much theories just because of the word flip
of why it got messed up.
And it was very like something you could say, like you said, red, violet, violet, red, you can get those. And burnt sienna is basically orange. You know what I mean? So I think you're right. Those are very good excuses of, I don't know, in my head, I was just seeing that color and orange and, you know, like.
I don't think you could say the same with the orange and burnt sienna, though, because the way they were writing, he wrote down the words like he was writing it on a whiteboard. Like it had to have been really close and it just got off or something. Or maybe the mole like flipped a card around, because could they move the cards and stuff if they wanted?
Theoretically.
See, theoretically, a mole could have moved it too.
Could have moved it. It could have been, yeah.
And maybe somebody who saw red, violet, and violet, red were like, hey,
that's an easy one, right? Yeah.
I get all sorts of theories up in this thing.
Absolutely. All righty.
I liked the challenge, though. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Because we did it online, and obviously online is completely different than doing it in person, but thoroughly enjoyed watching it in person. And it definitely brought out a lot of interesting sus moments from anyone and everyone. Obviously, not all of them were advertent. They were definitely, some of them were just like honest mistakes that they made, but really sus. Alrighty, we'll move on to the other challenge this episode, execution engine. So this is completely a challenge based around how much do you want to share? How much are you willing to prioritize the pot over the information that you have? So part 1, everyone personally ranks the other cast members from 1st through 10th, where 1st is the person they think is most likely to leave next, and 10th is the person they think is least likely to go next. Those scores were aggregated, and they were all given a dollar amount. These were the amounts. It's going to scroll quickly, but so like Jack was overall ranked as the collective group's belief that they were going to go home next. So he was given $19. Next, Carrie and Lauren both tied at 2nd, most likely to go next. They each were given 16. Matt was next at 13. Then Gavin at 11. And Davey at 9. Karthik and Liv tied at 6. Then Anthony for 3, Craig for 1, and Jackie universally agreed is not leaving this episode. So that was fully based off of the personal list that they made, aggregated based off of statistics. So again, I mean, people had the option to, do I want to legitimately rank the people who I'm confident aren't the mole 1st through 5th, because the people who aren't the mole are statistically likely to go. They're an option. And do I rank my mole suspects near the bottom, or do I just say throw caution to the wind? I don't want people to know what I think, so I'm just gonna like do a completely random list, like how Carrie did. Carrie's like, I just wrote them in the order.
I keep laughing.
Like I'm not these people a look of any. Especially in Carrie's position, she thinks she solved it. Carrie at this point is confident in her mole. She thinks she knows it. So she's like, I'm not giving these people anything. So this was an opportunity to, maybe disclose some information, maybe throw people off the right track, because this cast will read into anything and everything. So the first part was just how much do you want to disclose, and then we'll get to the actual second part, which was deciding the execution order. So as a group, they had 10 minutes to decide the execution order. Every green screen that was shown at the execution, the money that player was worth would be lost. So out of $100, Carrie was first, so she was worth 16. If her screen turned green, those $16 would be lost. And we'd keep going until we finally find the red screen, and then they would take home whatever money hadn't been lost at that point. So
I loved this, by the way. It was such a fun challenge.
I thought it was fun too.
And another game of how much you're going to reveal. Like, obviously, you want to put your mole dead last. You want your mole to go 11th in the order because you know they're going to get a green screen. You don't want to lose whatever money they're worth, but they're not going to. They're not going to disclose that information. So it creates such a storm of, you know, some people putting their mole higher up in the order because they don't want people to know that they're sus of them, risking the fact that that money might get lost if it gets to them. So kind of like trying to find this like happy medium where everyone's kind of happy. Anthony takes on the leadership role again. So he was kind of the leader in Mail Trail. Now he's the leader again, kind of dictating who should be where, which is a great spot for the mole to be in. Someone who's just being a little bit more assertive, because the mole knows roughly who's onto them, who's not from production, but just from natural, just socializing.
Yeah,
you can tell by relationships.
Yeah, so like they know who's onto them, so they know where to put those people. Obviously, they'd want those people higher up in the rank order to ensure that the people who've got green screens are towards the front. So the mole being assertive here is a super easy way to sabotage, but also getting themselves earlier up in the order is also an easy way to sabotage. They know they're getting the green screen, so the earlier they can be in the order, the better, which is what gets certain people in hot water here. Karthik immediately volunteers. Jack's like, put me first. Anthony is quite surprised. He's like, oh, I thought you all would be ranking me towards the top because I've been just using advantages this entire game. So like, I don't really know as much as the rest of you do because I'm just staying on advantages rather than staying on a genuine quiz score. So those three people specifically were like, please put me early, which had people.
Did Carrie have Gab? I'm trying to remember. Did Carrie put Gavin first?
She did on her personal list.
So Gavin being in the middle is definitely could be an artificial. You know, if Carrie put him up there, but she's like, I'm not giving these bitches. Right. That is an artificial. You know what I mean? Putting him in the middle there because that shocks me that he's not further.
Yeah, I've been watching this scroll and I'm like thinking like suspect, like, or if they just really confident this person knows, which no, I doubt. I think they're just like, these are our suspects. But with like Carrie doing that, and I'm sure other people didn't put their full list out, it's going to be skewed some way or another.
Right.
Right. But then Davey said he was putting Lauren last, right? Because I wrote that down because he's like, I know she's not the mole. And so
but didn't they think she got an exemption?
They did. She's the, if you look at, so like she ends up being what in the execution order? She ends up being put 9th in the execution lineup, despite based off of the personal list, she's ranked 2nd. She's ranked very high in terms of the group thinks she's going to leave soon, yet gets put so far down the order, which, you know, could be a lot of sabotage involved. If people legitimately think she's going to go next, putting her 9th is so many green screens
that's insane.
down the line to get her there, because she makes this one-off statement being like, put me wherever you want, I'm not going anywhere, which has them thinking, oh, she has an exemption, she has something that she's going to be playing, so let's put her near the back because we're worried she's going to get a green screen, when the cast, when it came to their personal rankings, had her very high. So she's the biggest differential from personal list to the ultimately executed list, which
I hope she's the mole.
It was so funny. She was like, I don't even know I said that, but I was like, that's hilarious.
I love Lauren so much. Like, I just like, part of it makes me think she could be the mole because this is her personality somewhat. And so like, if you can play up your personality and just not care and do the things you're doing and somehow stay, like this one was easy. Like, unfortunately, we kind of figured Carrie was going to go because like she had to sit out so much. Like, she's not going to have the information. It's easy for them to put her first.
Yeah.
Like, she's been out too much. Like, she's either the mole or she's done. Like,
Yeah.
So like Lauren could just be playing it up and just like not caring at this point, and then maybe as the mole, if she is, like figuring it out later and being like, oh, this is how I'm surviving. I don't know. I adore her. I just love her.
Me too.
But see, when you're playing with somebody that you know really, really well, like Davey said, I know her. I've known her for a very long time. I know she's not the mole. And he goes, but then he said, she thinks the same about me. He said, I know she's not, but she thinks that. You know what I mean? Like, so to me, that was like, when you know somebody knows you that well, you have to be yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be yourself. You know, you have to, as the mole, you have to. They threw a comp when we were playing, and I came up the steps enraged. Like, Clark looked at me, I said, don't you even fucking talk to me, Clark Wilcox. You know better than this. And I like went off on all of them. So you have to do that. So knowing that, you know what I mean? They know, Clark knows me well enough. Several of them knew me well enough to know she's going to be pissed. She doesn't like it when people throw stuff, you know, like she doesn't, whatever. So you have to. So that's a very good thing, Steph, that you said, because she's just being herself.
Yep.
That's the best way. That's what I tell everybody. You're going to be a mole, be yourself.
Well, because I've always thought about that, like, myself, like, I would be nervous to be a mole type person. I'm a very, like, truthful, like, very, like, friendly, like, tell everybody everything kind of person. So the only way I would ever make it as a mole is just to be myself to a certain extent. Like, I'd have to, like, still do the same thing but lie about it, which would suck, but I would have to do it. So I'm like, this is how I think other people could possibly do it too. Lauren could just be like, this is who I am. I don't care. Like, oh, I made it through this round because so-and-so told me information or something.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you.
No. Yeah, that's what's hard. And I think Anthony is causing a lot of that as well. A lot of people came in knowing he was the mole in the online series. So people were like, oh, like, would he be the mole again? But he's acting the exact same way he was acting in the online series, which has people freaked out as well, being like, God damn it. Like, we were hoping he'd be slightly different so we would know that he's playing the player and not the mole. But when he acts this, I mean, he has to act the same way.
Yeah.
Mole or not, because as a player you want people to think that you're the mole, so he has to act that way regardless. So so like, just because you know someone and they're acting how you know them to be doesn't mean anything. Like, when you come in and you see someone you know, you have to, like, they know how you act, they know your mechanisms.
I was so sus on Carrie for the longest time just because I know her, and I'm like, she could easily act just how she is.
Who did Jackie said something? It was like my favorite thing that I've heard in such a long time. I thought she was talking about Matt when she said, I don't know, he's been diet moling a little bit.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, diet moling. Yeah, that is some good stuff right there. Good stuff. So let's wrap up the episode. So obviously some a little bit of, discussion and dissension around everything that's happening in the group discussion. Like, Matt was very concerned with Jack and Karthik immediately volunteering to go towards the top. And he ultimately gets them both bumped down just a couple spots just because he's like, I don't like when people are like, you want to go at the beginning? Great opportunity for the mole to do that. No, thank you. Liv was ranked, I think, 9th at one point and ends up, getting herself up to 7th. So she gets herself bumped up, which has people a little concerned. And then there's some clear outliers here. So we end up with an order. First is Carrie, because of her sitting out of the first challenge. People are just like, you might not know what happened. Sure, people could tell you, but that just has a lot of people just like, we should just put you first. Second ends up being Gavin, despite being 5th in the personal rankings. He gets bumped up to 2nd. Jack ends up being 3rd, despite being everyone's like top pick to go home. He ends up falling down to 3rd, kind of because he volunteered. Matt is 4th, which completely aligns with the personal list. Karthik ends up being 5th, despite being 7th in the personal list, so got himself bumped up a little bit. Anthony's leadership gets him bumped up because he very much pushed to be a little higher, because he kind of expected to be a little higher because of the advantages that he's had. So he was 9th in the personal list, ends up being 6th in the execution lineup. Liv ends up being exactly where she was ranked personally. Davey ends up being 8th, despite being 6th on the personal list. Lauren is the big one. She was 2nd overall to go home based on the personal list, ends up being 9th overall in the execution order. So falls down 7 in her spot. And then Jackie and Craig are inverted. So Jackie was 11th on the personal list, ends up being 10th in the execution. And then Craig, 10th in the personal list, 11th in the execution. So any thoughts as to like where the mole might have ended up? Because there were some people who they weren't escaping their position, like Jackie and Craig were people that were going to be at the bottom no matter what. Carrie was going to be at the top no matter what, and kind of the middle kind of shook out the way that it did. But anything you read into it in terms of like Jackie and Craig being at the bottom, just anything you read into this list before we get to our sad execution?
I think what stands out to me a lot, though, is like the ones that should have been further down, somehow getting themselves bumped up. That kind of lays out like maybe you want the money to like go away. Like maybe you want to like rip your envelope up. So it's like,
Yeah.
And then Lauren's jump just kills me.
Yeah.
Like if she ain't the mole, I don't know.
Well, I think you could do the whole double cross where you're like, I'm not giving you any answers, and then you literally give all your correct answers because people, you know, at that point, because they know they weren't allowed to talk, but they had their list there. They, you know, like,
Right.
At what point do you say, I'm not giving them anything, and then they see your list, and they'll never in a million years think that like I would never think that Gabby's the mole if I put her the first on my list. If you see that,
Yeah.
you know, or last, they're like, oh, she must think that Gabby's going to go first. So they could. I mean, that I don't know if you think about that because it was thrown on them all so quickly. I think the look of panic on their faces at first was great.
Yeah.
If I'm the mole at this point in the game, like you're halfway there. Like you have so many people who are suspect of so many people. Like you could easily like push a little, maybe. Like this is what I'm thinking. You push a little, like not too much, so maybe you do get bumped up a little, so you do cut down some of it. But you don't have to be super forceful right now because these people are all screwing themselves over.
Yeah.
I feel like that's always what happens.
Yeah.
Well, we head to the execution, and $100 into the pot because Carrie is up first and is out first. As alluded, she's confident in who her mole is. She goes all in.
As said that, I was like, this girl. I was like, she don't know.
It kills me because I don't know if the confessional's in the next episode because I watch the episodes pretty much nearly live with everyone else, but there's a confessional from someone next episode that is like, I don't know. I feel like it's too late to keep splitting. I might need to like go all in or go, in on like two people. I'm like, it is never too early to continue a spread or a split. It is never too like. There's always going to be someone who feels confident, is tunnel visioned, is assertive on their quiz, and is just wrong.
Yeah.
And just hearing people being like, it's too late in the game. I have to start pretty much being down to two suspects or just go on. I'm like, it's the top 10. Breathe. Down.
Well, and you need to, again, play smart. Like, play smart when you get there and make your little map out of all of these people are below the age of 25. So then you know what your groups are. And when you spread, you can kind of do it in groups, like spread, but don't just do it randomly. Lord have mercy.
I mean, green players. I wish, because I watch all these confessionals back and transcribing post production. I just remember watching somebody's back being like, "What the fuck? Like, holy shit! Like, I don't know what has gotten to their head. Who has convinced them that they need to start going all in?" I'm like, "Man, it's top 10. Breathe, chillax. It is not."
People always do it. In my season of Michigan Mole, literally the only reason I stayed round one is because somebody went all in on me. On the very first round.
So same thing. Nate went all in on me. Michigan Mole season 1. Nate went all in on me. And I'm like, why? Why would you do that? He's like, well, I didn't know you. And when they did the pre-show, like the light. He goes, everybody kept going, oh, Missie. Girl, yay, Missie, we're so happy, queen, whatever. He's like, and so I thought, oh yeah, that's who they'd make them all.
That's funny.
Yeah, Foster makes a great point. Like people who watch the Dutch Mole, they go down to a final 3. There have been finalists who are completely wrong. They are the runner-up and still don't know the answer. Tyler, the winner of Who is the Mole season 1, which Missie was the mole for, Tyler goes all in at the final 4 on the wrong person. He stays because
my book. He ripped my dossier page that he wrote about me out of his journal. He had nothing. He spent the very last comp with my dossier writing down things about me. But he has
So funny.
like the photographic memory. So as long as he wrote it down, but yeah, he had no clue. He just kept looking over at me and going, I smiled and I waved at him, like.
There are people who get super far in these games being completely wrong. I played a game with Jamie Bourne, the host and creator of Who is the Mole. I was out at the final 5 completely wrong. Like, people will get far just being wrong, and just because you stay doesn't mean you're on the right track. It just means you were slightly better than someone else.
My season of Michigan Mole, I stayed till almost the very middle. Peyton and I went out in the double, which was like right middle of the whole game, because I just was still sure it was Ben, and I just got lucky because Ben had a lot of similarities to Nick, and then Nick Benner was one of my closest, people because we roomed together. So Benner was like a good mole in one way at least. He knew people who trusted him, so he would try to make himself fall into the same category as the person that they were suspecting. And he did that. He kept me around probably 2 rounds by being in the same group as Ben, wearing the same color shirt as Ben, and somebody like Lauren could be, just looking at that and going, if they trust me, I'm gonna continue to reel them in.
Yeah. I think Hannah, I keep forgetting her last name because she got married, but she did the 3rd after show, and she's like, something I look for when I play mole games is like, who's leaving and who are they close to? Because that's a telltale sign that maybe they're aligned with the mole. But that's exactly what a mole does to try and prevent that. Like, they go, oh, my allies think it's person A. Great. I'm going to go be on a team with them. I'm going to go make sure I do similar things to them. So my allies have an inflated score on their quiz because they're going in on a suspect, not the right one. Because we have commonalities, they're staying, so people can't look at my allies leaving because I'm artificially keeping them in. So it's a lot of work. So, Clark. Who is the Mole season 1 was such a fun experience to watch live as much as I could because it was so crazy.
Fun to do. It was fun. But man, when I say the toll that it took, and I tell anybody who's going to be a mole in a game or who wants to be a mole, I'm just going to tell you that the toll that this will take on you, not just mentally, but physically, because you are putting so much into it, like it is. And you feel isolated. That's the other thing. Now, having done it, I watch for people who you can tell they feel isolated. Even though you're not. Like when the whole game was over, I went downstairs. They're all upstairs after party. I went to my room by myself for like 45 minutes afterwards and cried. And like, I hadn't talked to Dave the first time in 15 years that we'd been together at that point. I had not spoken to him in a day, like all of this stuff. And it just takes a toll. So that's something I also look for is who is it taking a toll on the most? Like
Lauren.
Like Lauren.
Yeah, we're sharing all the secrets. I forget who the winner of Victory House Season 2 is, but she comes in, spoiler alert, halfway through Victory House Season 3 and identifies the mole on site. She comes in because she's hosting a challenge, but she hadn't been there the whole time. And after one execution, watching it, she goes, that person's the mole, and here's why. And it's about the emotions. She's like, that person looks tired, stressed, emotional, like they have gone through thick and thin. That is the mole. Clocked it within minutes. She hadn't been there the entire time. She's like, of these 9 people, it's that one.
Yeah, like, why are you so exhausted? All you did was like do Jello shots or whatever. Like, you just did a painting. Why are you so exhausted after finger painting? And I'm like, bitch, because
they've got a lot of things going through their minds. We're sharing all the secrets. If you play a mole game, please go play a mole live game. There's plenty of them out there. Missie's on prod for like 3 of them. Like there are plenty out there. Please go give them a try. But now we're giving you all the secrets to like maybe spot the mole, or maybe you might
be a better mole.
People are not going to listen. It doesn't matter. You don't listen because when you get there, you forget everything anyhow.
Exactly.
Yeah, you do.
Obviously,
this is why I cannot blame any of these players because I know how stressed it is in a live game and I can say, you should have done this and you should have done that and you should have done this. But like in that moment, you're just going to do whatever your brain is telling you to do within the last 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Yeah, I've never done one, so it's like, who am I to say who's right and wrong to like say what they do or whatever. But let's move to your mole picks, your winner picks, who you've got your eyes on, just any kind of feeling you're getting after episode 5. We're down to 10 people, so 10% chance you randomly get it right by purely guessing.
Who wants to go first?
I'm trying to turn my light on. Hold on. Sorry.
I'll go first.
Yeah, you go
Who am I
first.
picking, mole first or winner?
Up to you. Whatever you want to do. Go for it.
Okay. So obviously I have a lot of suspects. Biggest one was on Carrie just because I know Carrie so well, but obviously she's gone. So I can't pick her as either anymore. Damn it. I'm really intrigued by how Jack and Karthik are both playing. I feel like Karthik has this like friendly personality and just getting to know everybody and people are giving him information would make it easy to be the mole. And then with how silly he is and goofy, it's easy to play things off because he's just like, oh, haha, I'm Karthik. I'm funny, which you are, Karthik. I love you. But it's easy to do that. So I think he's my highest mole suspect at this point in time, which I'm probably wrong because I usually am. Winner-wise, like Jackie to me is such like a observant person. Like she doesn't always speak up. She doesn't always talk. She'll speak up when she feels like she needs to. But like, I feel like she observes so much. Like she's one of the people I've been really watching, like going, is she a mole or is she just doing really good? Is she a mole or is she just doing really good? So I think Jackie is my winner pick at this time.
It's funny because mine's actually flipped. I think Jackie Karthik is my winner pick.
I can see it. I could see it though. Like honestly.
I think that Karthik, I mean, I know him super, super well. I talk to him like almost every day. So like I just know how he is. I know how smart he is. So I think just watching him too, I think that this is something that he could honestly just win with ease. And I'm also just probably being biased too, because he is like one of my close friends. But I don't know. I just think he has a really good personality for this type of game. Like I said earlier, like he has a personality that it's really hard in like Survivor and Big Brother because it is so threatening. But in a mole game, it's like the best type of winner, you know? And then Jackie, I don't know. I'm kind of like torn between Jackie and Liv for my mole pick. But nobody else really like jumps out to me as like being sus enough to me. I don't know. Like none of the guys really, I feel like they're all like trying too hard to be like sus. Whereas like Jackie is like, again, like the perfect person to be the mole because she's smart. She also like plays hard. So she can easily kind of like go under the radar as someone who is actually playing as a player. And I played Subversion with her. So I don't know. I can just see her being the mole. But yeah, so mine's flipped from your stuff.
No, that's funny. I could see it though. Like it's same kind of thing, like personalities, depending on how the mole plays, like yeah. I can see it. And Karthik, kind of his personality when you were saying that kind of reminds me of how Mason was during your season of Michigan Mole. He was very friendly, like wanted to hang out with everybody. Everybody loved him by the end of the season. So same thing.
But also like very laid back. They both have very laid back personalities where it's like they can get along with literally anybody. Mm-hmm. So
I'm gonna be so far out from listening. Like I'm just like not even any. I'm gonna give Jack an honorable mention because there's something about him. If he is not the mole, first of all, like go for Jack. Like I really think he's probably doing more than what we're seeing. Whether that's as a mole or a winner, I don't know. But you guys are gonna laugh your heads off at me. I think Davey is the mole. I think because he's friendly, he's dude, he's bro, he's whatever. I've watched him, but then he said, besides I know she's not the mole, and she thinks I'm not. I'm like, was that a slip up? Was that? But also, he made the comment, like, we all watched him. He did pretty much jack shit looking for the colors.
Yeah.
But then he made the comment about something about he's got to, what did he say? He's like, I don't know. I think I got to start doing some more things to like put some sus on me a little bit. Like I need to, and I'm like, well, I've seen you do a couple of things that I thought you were trying to put some sus on you. Was he one of the ones that was, maybe not. Somebody was trying to get them to take the Tetris piece or the Jenga pieces from the bottom. Like somebody was trying to get Carrie. I'm like, what? Literally, they're telling Carrie to take out like an anchor fucking piece right now. And thank God she didn't. And he was one of those. I thought if it was not him, it was probably like Anthony. But just that whole thing with him and Lauren, and I think him saying, you know, I think Lauren's gonna go. So I think he's doing that thing maybe where he's got his best friend there who he doesn't have to do a whole lot, or he just kind of keeps her around. I don't know. In my head, I just have that down. But I kind of think that Gavin's going to win. I just think that I've been watching, every time I watch Gavin, like when I watch Survivor, it takes me 2-3 episodes in before I start remembering people. Like, you want to weed out the losers before you like
the Jelinskis.
Yeah. Before you start names, but he's one that I automatically like am drawn to him when I'm watching him. Not watching Be the Mole, but that's fine. But I just do think that he pulls back a little bit when he realizes he's being a little bit like too much like this. I think I watch him slowly pull back a little bit. So maybe, but he's watching everybody. So if not, to me, he's playing a good game of watching and being just strong enough. So that's right.
The other thing that I wanted to mention too is that I noticed the last 2 executions being Brent and Carrie, they're part of the older crew.
Oh.
Yeah, I know we'd be in there too, Missie. But with that being said, is it a thing where like the mole is in the older crew and their allies are being taken out, or is the mole like creating some kind of diversion and taking out the older crew? Because is Matthew next?
Yeah, right. That's going to be no. I laugh because I'm like, first of all, older. Like I probably, and I'm not saying this like it's not hyperbole. I'm old enough to be most of their mother. I know that for a fact. My kids are older than most of them, but that to me saying that, well, the older crew and the younger crew, I'm like, and then wasn't it Davey that said we're kind of in the middle, we're kind of on both sides.
Davey and Lauren.
Yeah, exactly. So he was very quick to like kind of realize what his position is, and he's doing a good side playing both sides and being like that cute, like I'm an Indiana boy.
Yeah, so that could be a mole move, and the older crew's just getting taken out for it.
Yes, because so yeah, here you go.
Yeah, older. I think Jackie's the youngest of the older crew, and she's still like 36. Like,
yeah,
not old at all. Like to be like,
Yeah,
this
no.
is
My son will be 34 this year, so
it's so wild. They're like, yeah, we're the older group. I'm like, y'all are still so young.
How
like,
old is Matt?
you're babies.
How old is
who?
Matt?
40.
40.
Oh, okay. He looks good.
Yeah, he's 40. Brent's the oldest at 48, and then Jackie and Carrie.
40, good for him.
Yeah, and then everyone else is in their 20s. So
it's kind of ages.
I guess it's that gap where it's like Carrie and Jackie have like 6, 7, 8 years on like the next person. But like
Carrie's a very old soul at the same time.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I will give you that. Her Spotify tastes are very much rooted in like she loves 60s country, and I'm like, so do I, but it's not all I listen to. She was obsessed.
You don't like anything. Don't even go with me, CLP. I'm not even gonna start talking fucking music with you.
She's literally yelling at the camera like through it.
We play a music league that Carrie's husband puts on, and it became a running gag that it felt like people were just voting for 80 songs. So I specifically would look up when a song was released. I was like, if it's before 2000, 0 points. I don't care. I'm doing it. I don't care. So the entire league, I'm like, nope. It pissed people off.
So I don't play music leagues with y'all because y'all are crazy.
I don't play because no one likes my taste in music. So
I don't even care anymore.
Gabby, you and I
Here you go. Here's
I
my
like the
song.
same thing.
Oh yeah, Music League is such a troll at this point. Oh, good times. But with that being said, that's all we have time for this time on the after show. Subversion Live Season 2 apps are still open until April 15th. The link is on all of our socials, Facebook, YouTube, Discord. Apply. Even if you're thinking about it, you can't apply after the deadline. You apply and then say, you know what, it's not for me. At least you can pull it back. You can't create an application after the deadline. Episode 6 airs this Thursday, March 14th at 8 p.m. Eastern. And there's some fun little twists in this episode, so you're going to want to be there. I'll be back a week from today at 8 p.m. on Monday to recap that week's episode. Subscribe to our YouTube page at Subversion Mall to never miss an episode. Here is a reminder as to what the episode might bring.
I'm feeling stressed right now.
But at this point, you can tell that we're all kind of touchy.
I wonder if there'll be a Touched by Touchdown Jesus or Paul
Oh,
Jesus. Yeah.
okay. Wow, you really know.
Yeah.
You know your stuff.
We'll go next on siblings. I have 3 younger brothers.
Okay.
I correctly idled. Just once. The other time, I gave up immunity.
Mel, Brett. I know that, Mel.
And that you were going to be divided into 2 groups of 5.
And I'm definitely in that second group for a reason.
Bye, everyone.